Welcome to the topic tonight. We are going to be covering NOzempic. What I will say before we get started here is that I am not against what works. I know that there are many people, but I do know that there are many people that would rather avoid lining the pockets of big pharma and they would like to do things as naturally as possible. It's part of why we offer this program to people. It is something that we have found to be very successful for clients, and we just want to share. So, at Be Elite Health, our philosophy is that the doctor of the future is the patient. And what we have been seeing more and more is that the trend is that that's not happening. So we wanted to do something about it. We want to empower people to be the best version of themselves and to be their own doctors, because really we feel like that is the best solution to our current healthcare crisis is more people who are empowered to not only live their best lives, but model that for others, especially their family members. So tonight, we are going to be sharing 5 steps specifically for menopausal, perimenopausal, and postmenopausal women. But what you'll find out is that this really does work for anybody. I am not personally in menopause or perimenopause, and this program worked for me to release a lot of weight that I had been holding on to as well. Weight that I didn't even, I knew I needed to lose a few pounds, but I shed quite a bit more than what I had anticipated. So what this class is all about is the 5-step process for frustrated women to lose 5 to 15 pounds or 15 to 30 pounds in 6 weeks without pills, planks, or killing yourself in the gym, or without injecting yourself with anything unnatural. So again, our focus is to err on the side of being natural and holistic and in alignment with ourselves. If you want to go ahead, Gina, I know you're on the chat. I'm gonna let somebody else in here. If you want to just drop in the chat where you're from and maybe what you have tried to use to lose weight. And if you do have any questions, you can either drop them in the chat or we will have time at the end. A lot of questions will be answered while we're going. So, but we will have time at the end for question and answer. So a little bit about myself. My name is Ellie Hoover. I am a mother, the co-founder of Be Elite Health. I am a certified family nurse practitioner and a functional medicine practitioner. I am also a lover of nature and a fitness enthusiast. And my co-host here is Brian. He is on the screen as well, if you can see him. He is a subconscious mind expert. He is a retired women's basketball coach. He loves to travel, and he is a believer in the body's ability to heal itself. How to get the most from today? We do have a workbook that I'm just going to drop in the chat here. I would encourage you to download that workbook, take notes. You can ask questions, and if you stay until the end, there will be a special gift for those that stay until the end. So I will just open up the chat here and send the workbook quick, if it will let me. Okay. There we go. I dropped the workbook in the chat there for you, Gina. All right. All right, so before we get started, just a little bit of humor here. We will be talking about how you can shed more weight in a month than your cat sheds fur. And if we have any cat owners in here, I think they can resonate with that. How frustrating it can be to try things and to not get any results. So here's what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn how Sheila, for example, lost 23 pounds in 6 weeks. She's somebody that never loses weight, so she's tried a lot of different things, and the program that we're going to share with you and the steps that we're going to share with you worked for her. We are also going to share with you how one of our clients has been able to decrease their medications, specifically their blood pressure medication, in a very short period of time. They're no longer snoring at night. Their hips and knees are no longer sore, and they are just feeling a lot better in a very short amount of time. Here's a recent case study from a client. Her name is Joanne. Joanne was able to lose 35 pounds in 10 weeks, eating real food and following the protocols that we outlined for her. Like many of us, we've lost and gained weight, but she was finally able to lose it and keep it off. So the beautiful thing about this process is that we teach you the skills that you need to keep the weight off for good, and that you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're able to work with your body to say goodbye to inflammation and imbalances. And one of the things that she highlighted in her testimonial is that within the first 10 pounds, she was able to start walking her dog without her low back pain that she had been living with for a very long time. You'll see how our clients experience exceptional outcomes. For example, losing 18.5 pounds in just a couple of weeks. And this person lost 12 pounds in 16 days. These are typical results that we will see for people, just great outcomes, and they're very encouraging. This is another client, a recent testimonial. She lost 23 pounds in 6 weeks. And she's tried a lot of different things as well, and tried deprivation diets, and just has never been able to actually lose the weight. Here is Dawn's testimony. She lost 25 pounds. Again, these are typical results. When we work with clients, we do stand behind what we offer with a money back guarantee. And another client that was messaging us about how her clothes were getting so loose that she was going to need a new wardrobe. So here are our core philosophies at Be Elite Health, and I hope that you align with these philosophies as well. The first is that the doctor of the future is the patient. The second is that nothing can fix your body better than your body. The third is that health starts at home. And the fourth is skills over pills. Our promise to you today, and what you're going to walk away with today, is clarity, certainty, and confidence. Clarity that you'll learn why you're gaining the weight in this period of life. Certainty, you will know exactly what your next steps are to take to lose that stubborn weight. And then confidence, you'll have a greater level of self-awareness on how to heal. You are in the right place. If you are perimenopausal or menopausal and you're looking to lose 10 pounds or more and you're not sure how to lose that stubborn weight. If you are frustrated with your health journey and you're having difficulty with getting good quality sleep, you have joint pains, maybe you have high blood pressure and digestive issues, and you're ready to have boundless energy throughout the day. You're also in the right place if you feel like you've tried so many things to get that stubborn weight off and nothing has worked. And you're ready to put an end to all of your symptoms so that you can live a long, healthy, happy, meaningful life and do all the things that you want to do as you move into this next phase of your life. For whatever reason you may be here, we've got you, and we're very excited that you're here. So I want to just give you a little bit more about my story and what I have kind of been through. The picture on the left there, I was postpartum, my fourth child, and really struggling to lose that baby weight. Sorry, let's move this over. struggling to lose that baby weight. I had postpartum depression and anxiety. I had a lot of life stressors going on. I was in grad school and 4 kids at home. This was COVID era for healthcare workers, which was very stressful as well. I mean, I know it was stressful for everybody, but it was very stressful for healthcare workers because we didn't really know what to expect. So what my life used to look like is I really struggled to put myself first. I had, like I said, 4 kids at home. I went in waves of intense gym exercise, and then I would have to break because I would just kind of beat myself up and then struggle with that cortisol response. And then I wasn't losing weight anymore, or I was fatigued. I had frequent infections following COVID. About every month I was getting sick. I struggled with depression and anxiety, chronic fatigue. I didn't feel like myself, and I just knew something needed to change. Like I said, I was going to the gym. I joined a really intense exercise program and I lost around 30 pounds doing that. But then I kind of struggled with those last 10 to 15 pounds. I still was struggling with this constant fatigue and energy crashes around 3 p.m. And I just couldn't get rid of my acne, which was very frustrating. And I would have this joint inflammation that would come and go. So I did decide to go all in on myself. I had committed to this program. I lost the stubborn belly fat, and I really didn't think I had a lot to lose, but I lost 15 pounds in the first 3 weeks. My sleep improved and my acne improved. I don't have that midday crash anymore. More energy and definitely more confidence. So now I am coaching clients to go through this same program that I went through. I have more energy to do the things that I love. And I feel confident that that weight is not going to come back like it has before because I'm doing all the right things and implementing the right processes. So that is why I'm so excited about this. And I became a product of this program, and I know that you can as well, and I can help you. So just briefly, I wanted to talk about a few things that happen in menopause and perimenopause. So let me move my screen here. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera. Give me 1 second here. Okay. So first of all, or right before we get started, I just want to talk about a few definitions. So menopause is officially defined as 1 year without a period. Once you've reached this time period, then you are in your postmenopausal years. Perimenopause can be anywhere from 5 to 10 years preceding the actual day that you go through menopause. You can test for menopause. Usually they don't, but they go off of symptoms and somewhat your age. But something you can ask to be drawn is a FSH, which is a follicle stimulating hormone. If that's over 40, then that indicates that you're in menopause. That's essentially how they diagnose it. So this graph kind of shows us that when you're in your reproductive years, your progesterone and estrogen levels stay relatively stable. And then as soon as you hit perimenopause, you can see that the progesterone, that first circle here, kind of starts to drop off, and that your estrogen will initially peak, but then it also starts to trend downward. Couple of hormonal changes that can happen. So first of all, progesterone, as I mentioned, starts to decline, and that destabilizes what we call our HPA axis, which stands for the hypothalamic pituitary axis. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but this is essentially your stress response system. When this gets destabilized, then this can cause a hormone called cortisol to increase. And when cortisol increases, it increases our blood sugar. When our blood sugar then increases over time, it can lead to something called insulin resistance, and weight gain is then going to occur specifically around the abdomen area or the belly, which is a pretty common complaint for women in this time frame. When progesterone declines, it can also result in sleep disturbances and insomnia, which is then also going to increase the stress on the body, and that cortisol response goes up. And you're kind of on this hamster wheel because then once the cortisol response goes up, the insulin resistance goes up, the weight gain around the abdomen goes up. It makes it nearly impossible to get off of this hamster wheel. What also happens in perimenopause, as I mentioned initially, is those estrogen levels will increase, but then they steadily decline. And estrogen is responsible for maintaining insulin sensitivity. It's also responsible for maintaining a healthy metabolic rate and a natural appetite suppressant. So as you can see, when estrogen starts to decline in this period of life, we lose out on a lot of those benefits that we did have. And because of this, we start to gain weight around the belly, which is also known as visceral fat. Visceral fat is one of the most dangerous types of fats. It puts us at an increased risk of different things like cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, as well as a lot of other issues. That's why it's really important to take action with your health. I know some of you may be in your 50s or 60s, but if you're in your 40s, especially, you really want to take action. It's never too early to start being more proactive with our health, especially in the landscape that we live in now, where we're just kind of constantly bombarded with toxins and things that are, detrimental to our health, essentially. The longer you wait, though, it becomes more of a slippery slope and it can be harder to correct. Another thing that happens is in perimenopause and menopause is your muscle mass. It starts to decrease by about 1% every year, starting at the age of 40. And muscle is a sponge for excess sugar. So if we're not preserving our muscle mass, then we will have more and more excess sugar in our blood. And that will also contribute to that insulin resistance, which can develop into diabetes and weight gain around the belly. These are just some of the symptoms that women can experience in perimenopause and menopause. A few things, the changes in the menstrual cycles and the hot flashes, a lot of issues with sleep and insomnia, which can kind of perpetuate these symptoms, digestive problems, joint pain, and brain fog, and migraines. So there's a lot of things listed on here. I won't go through all of them, but it really is problematic because they kind of catapult each other and feed off of each other. It's interesting too because I deal with a lot of women that struggle with menopause in this time in their life, but that's not really how it should be because we in North America just have this high stress lifestyle that burns out our adrenal glands, and then we aren't able to control the symptoms during menopause and perimenopause because the adrenals would normally take over. But since we live these high stress lifestyles, we kind of burn out our reserve before we even get to this phase of life, and then we have all these symptoms. So that's another reason why I want to help people in this stage in life, because I feel like it's a very frustrating time for people and they just want to feel better. So let's dive a little bit further and talk about the elephant in the room very briefly. I won't spend too much time on this, but as you know, the elephant in the room is Ozempic. This is a pretty hot topic nowadays. It has been around for many, many years. It has been used to help people with diabetes, and it works in a variety of ways. One of the mechanisms of Ozempic is that it is essentially something called a peptide, and peptides are naturally produced in the body. In fact, the peptide that is semaglutide or Ozempic is called GLP-1. And what they did when they designed Ozempic is that they took a peptide that naturally occurs in the body. They changed its conformation they changed the configuration a little bit and made it so that it has a longer half-life. And so the result of that is that it sticks around in your bloodstream a little bit longer than normal. So that kind of begs the question for us, how do you create more GLP-1? Because do we really want to be injecting ourselves with these super physiologic doses of a peptide, a single peptide that's made in the gut primarily, or do we want to learn how to create more of that naturally so that your body can benefit from the actual natural product that's in your body? Because I mean, like I said, we have hundreds of peptides. You don't make just one, but this is just focusing on that one GLP-1 pathway. So GLP-1 is one of the peptides that's released by the L cells in the lining of the digestive tract. And these cells are responsible for basically probing and assessing the state of our gut. So when we secrete bile acids from consuming proteins and fats, electrolytes and carbs, and we have a healthy gut microbiome, we produce something called short chain fatty acids. And what these compounds do, they're essentially messengers, and they tell our cells, our L cells specifically, to release this GLP-1 as well as GLP-2. There's also a few other peptides that our L cells will manufacture, and then this peptide acts on various tissues within the body. One of the main functions that it has is it will slow down our peristalsis, which is the movement of our bowels. So it will slow down and delay the gastric emptying of your stomach, making you feel full longer. So people end up eating a lot less. Now, here's the thing. If people are eating a highly processed diet or they're eating a nutrient depleted diet, which is most often the case, eating less might result in weight loss, but it likely isn't going to result in health, if that makes sense. So we can't out eat or eat less of an unhealthy diet and expect that health will come from that. Now, what they're finding is that when we're giving people these massive doses of peptides, it's causing a lot of side effects for people. So there are benefits to GLP-1, otherwise our body wouldn't make it. But the problem that we're seeing is that we're using these mega doses on people, and it's causing a lot of different side effects that we'll cover here on this slide. So these are some of the side effects and health risks of Ozempic. We are kind of starting to see this unfold since Ozempic has been utilized over the last couple of years. It's becoming a more long-term product, and people are starting to have these side effects, especially with the thyroid cancer being a black box warning. Gastroparesis is paralysis of our stomach. It's affecting the liver and the kidneys on people, and gallbladders, your pancreas. So a lot of, honestly, pretty scary side effects on this slide, which are a reality for a lot of people. So the timeline for weight loss, it's pretty interesting when you compare our program with the conventional methods of weight loss. So the time to lose 10 to 15% of our body weight based on a 200-pound female and a 300-pound male with the Living Light Reset program is 6 to 10 weeks. With Ozempic and Wegovy, which are and Mounjaro, but Ozempic and Wegovy specifically, those are injectables. It is about 12 months. And then with the Mounjaro, 6 to 9 months. And metformin is an oral medication they will give people. And that takes about 3 years to lose the 10 to 15% of body weight. So if you also look at the timeline here, this kind of gives you the timeline, but then this graph specifically highlights the cost. So the average cost of our program is around $3,000, and you're getting results in 6 to 10 weeks, where Ozempic, you're looking at around $12,000, and that's going to take about a year. That's obviously spaced out. Every month, it's around $1,000 for you to do Ozempic. And then the metformin is 3 years, and it's actually higher than our average program costs. And you get a lot more side effects. There's a lot of side effects with metformin as well. This is very interesting to me, and I think I always like to highlight this for people because we're very much targeted in the United States by these companies. So this is an article highlighting the company that makes and manufactures Ozempic is Novo Nordisk, and they have an average list price of $936 in the United States for Ozempic. What's so interesting about that is that in the UK, it's around $93, as you can see here, 87 in Australia, 83 in France. That's for a month. So we're paying around $1,000 in the United States a month for this medication, and other countries are paying roughly $100 a month. So it is very problematic to me because I see a lot of, more or less political issues when it comes to the healthcare industry and the cost of things for Americans as a whole. This is a really good book that came out within the last year. It's really all about metabolic health, which is what we're talking about. It's a good read. It is pretty sciencey, but there's a quote here. You may be familiar with Callie and Casey Means. They are the writers of this book. Callie Means' sister, Casey, was a Stanford graduate medical doctor, and Casey and Callie wrote this book that has been very prominent, trying to look at changing food policy in the United States and changing what we subsidize. A few years ago, they classified obesity as a disease. And when you classify something as a disease, then they only allow drugs to treat that disease in the conventional healthcare system. So that's why we're seeing this uptick in the Ozempic utilization. So there's a whole set of political issues that are at play here today. And at this day and age, that's actually giving an upper hand to these big pharmaceutical companies. And unfortunately, the customer or the client is the one who's paying the price because they're the ones that get all the side effects and the big bills at the end of the day. But one of the things that Callie has done is that he's researched policy for many years. In fact, he was on the other side of the fence and ended up becoming a whistleblower because of the corruption that he had seen. And one of the things that he shares is that no drug has ever lowered the incidence of the very problem that it's trying to treat. So if you think of drugs for heart disease, for example, heart disease gone down in our lifetime, even though more people are taking statins than ever before? Or has cancer decreased even though we have more chemotherapy available to people than ever before? Or our blood pressure rates. We really are on the most amount of blood pressure medications we have ever been on, but yet more people are taking those medications. So it really is, when you take a step back and look at it, it's very problematic because our Western medicine model is not solving these chronic health conditions that we see day in and day out. So without further ado, let's move on to the 5 steps that I want to teach you about tonight. Let me just get a drink quick. So the first thing that we need to understand is our nervous system. Our nervous system is not necessarily the master system of our body because your nervous system can't work if your heart isn't working, but it really is in the hierarchy of systems, I would say. It kind of operates and runs everything else, and your nervous system tells the rest of your body what to do. Now, something that's very interesting that I had never learned before I started offering this program is that for every 10 pounds that we lose, 8.4 of those pounds are actually lost through our lungs. So it's a very interesting fact because, like I said, I never knew this. Most people don't know this. And the byproduct of cellular metabolism and burning fat is carbon dioxide and water. So again, for every 10 pounds or kilograms, whatever unit you use, we lose 8.4 of those through the lungs. And so how we breathe plays a crucial role in our overall health and wellness. Most people that work with us come in as dysfunctional breathers. You might be thinking, well, I've been breathing, otherwise I wouldn't be alive right now, which you're right, that is true. However, what we really look at for people is, are you breathing optimally? Is your breathing aligned with the goal that you're trying to accomplish? One thing that is really crucial for you to know is that your breath is the steering wheel of your nervous system, and that's something we really work on and teach people. And what that means is that literally with every breath we take, we can choose if we want to be in a state of fight or flight or if we want to be in a calm and relaxed state. This is one of the things, like I said, we work on with people because I don't think we fully understand something that's so simple, which is in our control, is breath work and how much that can affect our day-to-day and in our disease state. So one thing that I have definitely learned over the years is that all dysfunction ties back to stress. And this is a very, very fancy slide and it looks very complicated, but honestly, I'm going to break it down here. It's pretty simple. We can either be in a parasympathetic state or a sympathetic state. Sympathetic is known as that fight, flight, or freeze, which is pretty common. People have heard that before. The significance of that is that when we are in fight, flight, or freeze, is that there's a predictable response that takes place in our body. As you can see here, our saliva starts to decrease. Our pupils will dilate, which will make us more sensitive to light. Our lungs will expand, and that will increase our respiratory rate. Our stomach acid production decreases. When your stomach acid production decreases, your bile production also decreases, and your protein digestion decreases. Your stomach may be fuller longer, and the food will literally start rotting inside of your stomach because you're not making enough stomach acid to digest all of those proteins. Your liver and gallbladder function will go down, and your glucose levels will go up to give you the energy you need to respond to the situation you're in, which is usually a survival mechanism. Our adrenals will make more cortisol, which further raises our blood sugar, as we talked about before. Our blood pressure will likely go up, and that will affect our kidneys, and our urinary frequency will increase, as well as vaginal contractions. For females, vaginal contractions and orgasms can increase. In males, orgasms can increase, leading to erectile dysfunction, but also premature ejaculation. So being in the sympathetic state can have its benefits. It was, obviously seen as very beneficial in our primitive days. If a lion is chasing you, we don't want to be worrying about digesting food. So that is why we have this response. That's a waste of our energy because that's not going to save us from that, emergent situation that we're in. But the thing is we don't want to be in a sympathetic system or a sympathetic state of mind all of the time. A lot of times people get stuck on this sympathetic side and they want to be in parasympathetic, but they don't know how to get there and they don't know how to regulate their nervous system. So just like you can't change the oil in your car if you're driving down the highway, you have to park it in the garage, put it up on a jack, and then you can repair it, change the oil, and then move on. That's a lot with our bodies as well. We can't repair and regenerate. We can't restore and digest and reproduce and all of the things that you want to do if we're stuck in that dominant sympathetic state. Now, moving on to the parasympathetic, this is a state in which, on the left side of the slide here, which we rest and digest. And in that state, our pupils will constrict, our saliva production increases, which will help with our digestion. Our breath becomes calm and normalized. Our heart rate decreases, and stomach acid production increases. Our blood glucose production decreases, and we become more sensitive to that glucose, and it will go into the tissues like it's supposed to. Our gallbladder function will improve, as well as our pancreas. Our adrenal cortisol output will be much lower, and our blood filtration will improve. Our sexual health will improve. So anytime we work with a client, every single one of them wants more of what's on the left side of the fence, but usually they're living on the right side of the fence. It's important to understand that it is biologically impossible for you to be healthy if you're stuck in this perpetual state of fight or flight, which is where most people are stuck. Hopefully this is all kind of making sense to you guys. I know this is kind of an overwhelming slide, but it is true. Most people, because of the high stress lifestyle that we have and the demands that are put on us, we are stuck in that perpetual fight or flight. And much like everything else, we can't be regulated. We can't overcome disease if that is where we are stuck. This is another slide that this actually is highlighting that for every 10 pounds that we lose, the 8.4 is through the lungs, which is that's an incredible statistic to me. So I do want to share a quick case study with you guys. This is our client. Her name is Amanda. She was struggling with weight loss. Like many of you here, she was a financial advisor, so she had a pretty stressful job. We will talk about body type in a few slides here, but she was a body type A, which is the high cortisol body type, someone who's constantly in that fight or flight state that we just talked about. She gained a lot of weight around her belly and was struggling with the weight gain, poor sleep, low energy, joint pain, and some yo-yo dieting. She recognized that she had an unhealthy relationship with food and she had tried many programs in the past. She was looking for something that was sustainable and long term to teach her how to be healthy. So she went through our Living Light Metabolic Reset program. One of the main things that we addressed with her was shifting her more into that parasympathetic state because that's where all the healing, repair, and regeneration will occur. And that's where weight loss also occurs. And as we said, before that fight or flight, you're not going to lose weight there. As a result, she lost 25 pounds in 6 weeks. Her energy had significantly improved. Her sleep was better. She had less inflammation and no more joint pain. Her hormones were balanced. And most importantly, she had an increased level of awareness around her body and her food choices. So this is her before and after, and just a little update she was giving about how much better she felt and how she was so impressed that it was such a quick turnaround for her. So the second thing that I want to talk to you about is nutrient density in our eating window. So one of the things that we really put a focus on with our clients is compressing the eating window. What we find when we first speak with them is that many people are eating anywhere from 7 a.m. to late, sometimes even midnight. They're constantly turning their digestion on and snacking, and then their digestive system doesn't really get a break throughout the day. So one of the things that we really focus on with our clients is compressing that eating window and focusing on reducing snacking because snacking is one of the main reasons why I see clients gain weight, especially nighttime snacking. So one tip that I can give you today is that you really want to make sure that you're avoiding eating anything 2 to 3 hours before you head to bed. Because you really want, when you go to sleep, that to be your rest and digest time. And if you're eating right before you go to bed, then your digestive system is just working overtime trying to process all of that. Another tip that I want to share with you is to eat as much whole food as possible. You really want to make sure that you avoid refined carbohydrates and processed foods. Here is these are all examples of meals that our clients have made on our program. As you can see, this is definitely not a starvation diet. People, in fact, usually eat more food than they do when they're not doing our program. They just are focusing more on getting a variety, different colors in their plates, and also making sure that they're focusing on whole foods, which can be difficult, if you don't have a plan in place. Another thing that we really focus on is nutrient density rather than just calories. So you can see that this bowl of chips here has the same amount of calories as the apple. And of course, as you know, the apple is more healthy. It's going to provide our gut microbiome with the right nutrients and help keep our gut microbiome healthy, whereas the chips is going to contribute to a poor and unhealthy microbiome. And it's also going to decrease the ability of us to make that GLP-1 like we talked about. So we really want to focus on whole anti-inflammatory foods and avoid those refined carbohydrates and processed foods. We also want to focus on balancing your blood sugar. As you saw in the earlier slides that I shared, but what happens in perimenopause and postmenopause is that insulin resistance is something that's very common. So we really focus on regulating the blood sugar through nutrition. We focus on anti-inflammatory nutrition plan, and we prioritize protein and fiber, as well as incorporate a little bit of fasting, intermittent fasting, which helps our body tap into its own fat stores. Here's another client testimonial of ours. Her name is Dana. She was struggling with difficulty losing weight. She's 62 years old and retired and had gained a lot of weight after menopause. She was also struggling with inflammation and digestion issues, low energy, and really struggled with eating healthy. She snacked a lot in the afternoon. She had tried many different programs in the past, but was looking for something sustainable and something that would really teach her how to be healthy. So some of the programs she has tried were Herbal Magic, Atkins, Weight Watchers, which really only focus on food. As you can see from the 5 pillars, we focus on a lot more than just that. So she went through our program, and within 6 weeks, she, with a lot of things that we were talking to you about, she released 25 pounds. Her energy and sleep significantly improved. She was less inflamed, and her joint pain had gone away, and her digestion was a lot better as well. She had left a 5-star review for us here. All right, so the third topic is sleep and circadian rhythm. If I had to put things in a hierarchy, I would say that sleep and circadian rhythm are much higher up on that hierarchy, believe it or not, than exercise and food, which is what we've been told is the holy grail for weight loss. Those are actually probably closer to number 4 and 5 on the list. And this is why many people struggle to see those results as well as hold on to long-term results because they're missing the top of the pyramid of optimal health. And so when we focus on improving the health of our clients, we ask about the quality of their sleep and their circadian rhythm because we know that ultimately this determines our ability to perform. So the ceiling of your performance and health is actually predicted on how well you sleep, recover, and your circadian biology. It's interesting because every human and animal, as well as insect and plant on the entire planet, regulates its biological processes by the rising and the setting of the sun, except modern day humans. So when we invented the light bulb, that really messed up our biological systems. I do understand the irony that it's dark outside right now and we're on our computers right now or our cell phones. But it really is the reality of the world we live in at this point. So there are ways to mitigate this, but ideally what we want to do is coordinate our biology with the rising and the setting of the sun. So 2 things that you can do that will significantly improve your health immediately are, and that are absolutely free, are watching the sunrise and watching the sunset. Another thing that you can do, let's say you can't do those 2 things, but if you get up and you spend the first hour of your day outside, that will really help to regulate your circadian biology, rain or shine, because that natural light is very important for signaling to our brain that, okay, now it's time to wake up. I see that with a lot of people that really struggle with, maybe they're exhausted, dog tired, but they go to lay down and they can't fall asleep. Well, their circadian rhythm is all messed up. So that is how you will start to signal and get that hormone regulation of your cortisol and your melatonin is by spending the first hour outside or at least getting exposure outside. I know in the wintertime when it's -7, it's maybe not likely that you're going to spend a full hour outside in the morning, but as long as you're getting up, going, maybe go for a 5-minute walk outside, that's really going to help with regulating that biology. So, another thing that's really important to talk about is the hormones that are associated with our appetite. One is ghrelin, and I like to think gremlins when you think of ghrelin or growling in your stomach. The other one is leptin, and leptin is secreted by our fat cells to signal to our brain that our body has enough energy and nutrition. But a poor night's sleep is going to break the message in the messenger system, and as a result, we will feel hungry all the time. So that's what's really interesting about this. So if you get enough sleep, as you can see, your ghrelin will be low, you'll have a normal appetite, your leptin will be high, which kind of tells us, yep, we're full, we're good. If you don't get enough sleep, even one night, you can start to get a higher ghrelin level, which will make you hungrier, your leptin will drop, and you won't feel, even after eating the same amount of food, if you had a good night's sleep, you still won't feel full or satisfied. The next thing that really affects our circadian rhythm is the lighting. Lighting and health. So when you look at daylight, daylight has a full spectrum of light. You can see the blue and green and yellow. The red are all in balance and harmony with each other, as you see on the top left. If you study the sunset and look at the wavelengths of light and intensity of those wavelengths, you will see that during the sunset, there's a lot more red light that's present. And this is why the sky looks different, a different color, and the sun looks like it's a different color during the sunrise and the sunset. Now, this is really important to note because if you look at the sections just below this, you'll see the light bulb differences. Many of our light bulbs in our homes have been replaced with the LED bulbs. And if you look at the LED bulb, you'll notice that it has an artificially high amount of blue light and a significantly reduced or almost non-existent amount of red light. So red light is very healing to our bodies, especially for the mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of our cells. If you look at the incandescent bulb graph right here, those the incandescent bulbs are what many of us had growing up, and our grandparents and great grandparents all used these. A lot of us also did. Many of us as children and young adults used them in our homes and, workplaces, schools, all of that. So as you can see, the pattern and wavelength pattern of a tungsten bulb or the traditional light bulb matches more of the natural sunrise and sunset. So the lighting in our homes has actually changed so much that it's now very disruptive to our hormones in our body and does not provide the same healing mechanisms as natural sunlight would. So one of the keys for all of you that I would recommend writing this down is that it's important for you to have bright days and dark nights. So as soon as this presentation is over, we're going to shut off all the lights. If anything, you can turn on red light bulbs in the evening, but you want to keep the intensity as low as you can at night before you go to bed. This will start the secretion of that melatonin. Melatonin is not just for sleep. It is also very important for our immune health as well as anti-inflammatory, but we just want to make sure that that lighting is something that is always discussed with people because I don't think they understand how much it can affect that circadian biology and our ability to sleep at night. Now, I won't go too deep into this, but this is a gene that is activated in the presence of UV light. So UV light generally makes itself present within the first hour or two after the sunrise. And really the only thing that I want to, without getting too into the weeds, express is that if you're actually getting that UV exposure, this gene will be expressed and it will secrete something called alpha MSH, as you can see at the bottom here. And that will decrease our food intake. It will help us feel full longer, as well as it does increase skin pigmentation. But the big thing is that it helps us with our appetite, which people often are not aware of. There is an app that I find very helpful for people that I always tell them to download. It's called Circadian, and the Circadian will help advise you when to go outside. It just sends you gentle reminders, especially in the winter time when nobody wants to go outside. It will just kind of send you a gentle nudge of when to go outside. You can go, step outside for a couple of minutes, and that will help with that circadian rhythm. Now, perhaps one of our favorite sleep tools is called an Oura Ring, and the Oura Ring helps us track a few things. It tracks our sleep quality, and also helps us to track the resilience in our nervous system, our resting heart rate, and a variety of other key biomarkers to help us assess and evaluate if our health is moving in the right direction. So when we work with clients, having an Oura Ring is very helpful for them because it helps them to understand what and how their body is responding to an intervention. I have found them very, very helpful, and it is something we like to incorporate because I feel like it gives instant feedback to people and helps kind of encourage them in their fitness journey. Now, here's another client that worked with us. Her name was Elsie. She was very busy. She had difficulty losing weight as well, type A body type. She really struggled with breathlessness when doing basic activities. She had low energy in the afternoons, joint pain, skin issues. She wasn't sleeping very well, and she had brain fog. She was able to shed 28 pounds in 6 weeks. Her skin improved. She had better energy. Her brain fog was gone, and she was sleeping better than she ever had. Here's her before and after side by side. So a pretty amazing testimonial. Something that we love to see for people. Okay, number 4 is balancing your body type. So we do see 4 main body types here. I'll just run through them pretty quickly. As we talked about, type A body type is the high cortisol. It's the weight gain around the abdomen. A lot of times you have difficulty falling asleep. You're a slow starter in the morning. You might crave salty foods. You feel wired or jittery, trouble calming down, often have afternoon headaches and chronic fatigue. Body type B is an estrogen dominant body type. You see more weight gain around the hips, thighs, and buttocks, a lot of mood swings with your menstrual cycles. See a lot of times people struggle with endometriosis or uterine fibroids. They may have hot flashes or night sweats and gallbladder trouble. Body type C is the thyroid body type. They have more difficulty losing weight and more generalized, so weight gain all over their body. They have mental sluggishness, low motivation. They may struggle with constipation, excess hair loss, easily fatigued and sleepy throughout the day. And body type B, we do see more commonly in men, but it can be in women as well. You see more weight gain around that abdomen. They may have issues with easily becoming intoxicated, sensitivity to chemicals or tobacco smoke, pain under the right side of their rib cage, sensitivity to NutraSweet and chronic fatigue. We do see a lot of people that have a mixed body type. So you don't have to have one or the other. We see a lot of people that have a variety of symptoms and a variety of weight gain. So one thing that I want to just touch on is the hypothalamic pituitary axis. This is kind of a visual representation for you of what the HPA axis is. The hypothalamus is located in the brain, and it communicates with another part of the brain called the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is essentially our master regulator in terms of communicating with our adrenals, our thyroid, and our female hormones, or male hormones if you're a male. And basically, for many people, the missing link to their weight loss journey is that they need to reset this HPA axis. So with all the individual case studies that we have shown you, they have all received our proprietary Health Canada approved and FDA registered reset spray. This is a homeopathic spray that helps to reset that HPA axis. I'm sure many of you know someone who can eat anything and never gain weight. So the reason that they can do that is because their HPA axis is set to that body weight. So if your weight has been fluctuating, it's because you need to reset your HPA axis. I'm going to share a quick testimonial here on Christina. She was a 48-year-old perimenopausal female, a single mom with 3 kids. She was actually a nutritionist with her own business. She had gained around 20 to 30 pounds of weight, specifically during the pandemic. As you can see, she's type A body type with a lot of weight in the midsection. She also struggled with eczema, which is an autoimmune skin condition. She struggled with low energy, fatigue, restless sleep. Through our program, she was able to shed 27 pounds in 10 weeks. This is her before and after pictures. And what's pretty incredible is her eczema actually significantly improved. This is her face before and after, as well as her hands. You can see that eczema in the middle and thumb, and it's completely gone on her middle finger, and her thumb is almost completely resolved. She has a little bit of redness, but perhaps what she found, I mean, aside from the obvious weight loss and the, eczema clearing up and the more energy, perhaps what she felt was the best benefit of our program of all was having a deeper connection with her kids. She felt less irritable, and more able to be present. And a lot of that has to do, there is a physiologic reason for that. A lot of times people that have those blood sugars that are up and down, they have these crashes, they struggle with mood regulation because of that energy crash that they get. So number five, the last thing that I wanted to talk about here, let me just get a drink of water, is another key step in transformation, and that is identity and coachability. So how coachable are you and how do you identify? You know, a lot of times we hear statements from people that say, I can't do this, or I'm a snacker, or I have a hard time losing weight. And because of that, we've adopted those identities and we believe in those identities. The brain will always validate and who we think we are, not who we actually are. So when we start thinking of our identity, I want you to start paying attention to the words that you say about who you are. So sometimes we hear people say, you know, I'm a snacker, or I don't like doing this, or I'm not going to do that. And that results in them participating and engaging in the behaviors that align with that identity. Um, the other key thing is not just who you are, but are you coachable? So, you know, if you think of anyone who's great at anything like Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky, if we use sports as an analogy, or some of your favorite individuals in life who are very successful, they all have coaches, but more importantly, they don't have coaches, just have coaches. They're very coachable. So, we have something called the triad of health, and we believe that the triad of health is crucial to your ultimate health and wellness. And so the first part is lifestyle. That includes getting outside in the sun, you know, our food choices that we make. It includes a variety of things that fall into the lifestyle category. We also have our environment that includes the lighting in your home, the people that you hang out with. The fact that you're here right now and not watching TV or doing something else, you're educating and informing yourself, that's part of your environment. The third part is your mindset and your identity. So, a very simple example is that let's say you identify as being gluten-free. There's no amount of pastries you can put in front of that person that is going to make them eat gluten, right? Or if you are on a carnivore diet, that is how you identify that that is what you eat. So when you think of your identity, a good exercise that we like to take our clients through, and I would encourage you to go through as well, is to rewrite your identity. And so when you rewrite your identity now, you start understanding how to live as the best version of yourself throughout all circumstances that you're presented with. You start to recalibrate that identity. You can do that in your workbook that I dropped in the chat there. You have 3 I am statements. I would encourage you to take the time to go through that exercise after our presentation where you write down things that you are in control of. 3 things that you are in control of. You might want to say, I am healthy and vibrant, or I make healthy choices. And I am an individual who makes healthy choices. Whatever those statements are, I want you to start living those statements. But how you start living those statements is by writing them down and really proclaiming them. It may sound very simple, but it really is a very profound way to start switching that mindset that we have into something that this is no longer an impossible task for you to achieve. It really is who you are and what you identify as. Now, another key component to your success in this journey is coaching, community, and accountability. Those are the three key successes that we have seen work for people. It's really interesting because the research actually shows that having a supportive community improves weight loss outcomes. And in fact, coaching programs that are group coaching programs are more beneficial than one-on-one programs. So I thought that was very interesting. Cleveland Clinic actually had recently in 2021 shared a study of how group coaching was found to be more beneficial according to the research and those people had better outcomes than the people that were just doing individual appointments. Now, we did cover a lot of information today, so I'll just give you a quick synopsis. We talked about regulating your nervous system. One of the best ways to do that is through our breath. So we teach clients exactly how to breathe, when and how to breathe, especially while they're sleeping. Believe it or not, how you breathe while you sleep is actually one of the most important and overlooked processes in our metabolic health. Step number 2 was nutrient density in the eating window. So it's not just about calories in, calories out. Unfortunately, the food industry has jammed it down our throat that all calories are created equal. I think we can all understand that processed foods and whole foods are a lot different, and that the whole foods are really going to nourish our body at the cellular level, help us to create that healthy gut microbiome, and increase our GLP-1 naturally. Step number 3 is our circadian rhythm and sleep. I showed you that gene called POMC, which actually helps regulate your appetite and your hormones. It helps regulate your sleep, which also regulates your appetite, like we talked about. Circadian biology often does get overlooked, and when you know how to tap into that, it really is a game changer for your weight loss journey. We also talked about the different body types and the HPA axis, and how your hypothalamus is basically like the thermostat in your house. It will regulate your appetite and your weight, as well as cravings, and help with fluid retention and metabolic rate, as well as temperature. So this is why when we work with clients, we have a special formula that we talked about that helps reset that HPA axis in their system. And that is why our clients are able to lose weight and keep it off, because they're really adjusting that thermostat in their system. And I know these are 5 steps, but of course there's more. We actually cover about 12 steps in our program and our process with our clients. So each week they learn about something new. So now that you've heard these case studies, I want to share with you how you can get these types of results. You saw the amazing results, you know the clinical outcomes and transformations and what we do. We want to give you clarity now at this point on how you can safely, rapidly, and permanently lose the weight so that you can feel vibrant, healthy, and happy. So what I would encourage you to do, or my invitation to you tonight, is to schedule what we call a discovery call. The discovery call is something where we will cover your specific health challenges and what you're facing, and in terms of identifying, what has worked for you, what hasn't. We'll determine specific goals and why they're important to you, as well as, if working with us is the right step, how do you proceed from that discovery call to the next step. I do always have people fill out what I call a metabolic assessment form. I thought I had a screenshot of it, but a metabolic assessment form as well, which will kind of help me, focus in on what your priority areas are. As far as who this call is for, it's for people that have tried everything to release that weight but haven't had results. They want to learn a healthy and sustainable way to release that weight and keep it off. Maybe they have had difficulty losing weight, or they have, low energy, poor sleep, their hormones are out of whack, they have arthritis and inflammation, high blood pressure, diabetes. It's for people who are willing and ready to invest in themselves and take action, and for those that, really feel worthy of having the health that they've always dreamed of. It's not for people who want just a quick temporary fix. If they're not coachable or looking to grow, if they're not committed, and they're not willing to make healthier choices, and they don't want to change their eating habits, then this is not the program for them. So if you're ready to say goodbye to the 20 to 30 pounds of excess weight, your low energy levels, your poor sleep and cravings, the pain, inflammation, the intense workouts, the yo-yo dieting, the low self-esteem, the brain fog and sluggish metabolism, then you're definitely in the right place. I'm gonna put my link in here for scheduling a discovery call. Like I said, it is free. There's no commitment, obligation by any means. It's just you just have to get on the calendar, you'll fill out the forms, and then we'll go through what the next step would be. You might be thinking, I've tried everything. I can promise you there is a solution for you. I know this sounds very almost crazy, but I wouldn't have believed it either had I not gone through the program myself as to how beneficial and impactful it can be. You might believe that you don't have the willpower or the support, but that's why we have a community and you actually get walked through the program. We don't just leave you on your own. Being healthy is expensive. I hear that a lot, but I actually would like to counter that thought process or that limiting belief with being unhealthy is very expensive as well. And it really takes away your quality of life. And what if this doesn't work? We actually do offer for people who invest in the two upper programs, we offer a money back guarantee within reason, of course, that if you try everything and you don't lose the weight, then you can get your money back. We actually have never had to give anybody's money back. So, and that's part of that discovery call process too. We make sure that you don't have anything that we couldn't help with. We determine if you're a right fit or not because we don't want to just, take your money and then not help you. So that is part of our kind of vetting process. We don't accept everybody and we do have limited spots. So that is part of our process. So we do have you covered. Our process really does fit into the busy lifestyle. It's designed to work around people that are working. It also will help you will see very quickly your energy levels improve, your sleep improve if you do the things that we ask you to do. So you'll start to get wins very quickly and it makes it very easy to follow through on the program and to keep going because you'll get those wins nearly every day. So just a quick weekly health progression. Week 1, you receive your package, which you do get some physical assets. We review your game plan with you and you start your journey. Most people see a 5 to 10 pound weight loss within the first week that they start. Week 2, you do have daily accountability. You can get your questions answered. Inflammation, blood sugar, and sleep are starting to be measurably improved. You'll see a huge change. By week 3, your energy and focus and pain are much better, and you start noticing better skin. Your clothing starts fitting better, and people start to notice. By week 4, your metabolism is really fired up on all cylinders. Your brain, body, and nervous system are working together. Week 5, you're usually shopping for new clothes by that time, and you've adopted a whole new identity, and you're fully committed. And then week 6, you've reset your metabolism, and then we start looking at moving into the maintenance phase, and we teach you how to then maintain that. We do have some people that will repeat the program, so I always kind of tell people that too. If you have more weight to shed, we teach you how to then repeat that process. And you don't have to buy the program again, you just have to buy the spray alone. So that's always interesting to people and they kind of want to know that. So I would like to end on this. And then Brian has something to share as well, because we do have a special bonus at the end. So the value of action versus the cost of inaction. So what I do know is that right now these lines are the closest that they'll ever be. If you decide to take action and invest in yourself and your health, in 1 year, 3 year, or even 5 years, you're going to see a significant improvement in your health. You will have learned the skill set to maintain that health. Where if you decide, oh, maybe, now's not the right time, it most likely is that your health will decline over time. And, in 1, 3, or 5 years, you're going to have some more things to be dealing with and bigger problems. So, that is always one of the hardest things for me is people that don't take action right away because then they end up getting, some type of a diagnosis or symptoms that develop that really were preventable. So your investment will not return void. I can tell you that. The cost of inaction is high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune conditions, cancer, and high cholesterol. So these are just a couple of testimonials at the end. This particular individual had to contact their doctor to get their blood pressure medication decreased. A few common questions that I just want to go through quick before I give the floor to Brian is that what if this isn't the right time for me? We do help you determine on that discovery call if it is the right time for you or not. We do have modifications for vegetarian or vegan diets. I've tried so many programs. What makes this different? We've helped thousands of people with these transformations. And so I'm just such a believer in this program and what it can do for everybody. Can I just get the spray? No, we can't just do the spray because this really is a complete learning system. It's kind of implementing a whole new lifestyle for you. So it really does require going through the whole program, and then the whole point is to teach you how to maintain this. So if you do need to at some point repeat it, then you can just purchase the spray by reaching out to me directly, but you'll have lifetime access to those modules and to all of the physical things that you get, the physical assets, which if you need to repeat it in 6 months or a year, you can do that and you just pay for the reset spray. Um, I don't live in the Canada or the US. That's not nobody here is out of the country. So, and then the investment ranges from $2,500 to $6,000 depending on which program you go with. We do have payment plans available for people. So if it's not something you can do right out of the chute, that's something we can talk about. Again, I just highly encourage you to get on a call, the discovery call, and we can talk about things. No obligation. You don't have to invest at that time, and the discovery call is free. So, let's see here. I do have a special bonus, a healthy home guide that I will drop in the chat. And I want to turn it over to Brian to talk a little bit about his role in this program and what he does. And then he's also offering a bonus if you sign up on a discovery call. So I'm just going to unmute him.
All right. Thanks, Ellie. That's incredible. I just seem to learn more every time I go through that and listen and everything. I'm also on the program. I've been doing it about 7, 8 days, 9 days maybe, and I've lost right around 10 pounds. So it's an incredible journey, and just feeling so much better that it's hard to describe until you start doing it. So I just kind of want to give you an idea why this is so different than everything else that you could ever go into. And that's kind of also my role, is working with the subconscious mind. Just a little background of myself. I used to be a college women's basketball coach, and I started working with the subconscious mind in the middle of that coaching with my athletes. And I knew I had great athletes, but they had a lot of different issues and problems that they brought along. And that would be limiting beliefs, stuff not really good at back home, things they've had to deal with, high stress stuff, and college all at the same time, all these things. And then stuff in their childhood patterns and all these things. So when I'm able to work with the subconscious mind, I'm able to, since we're just all energy, I'm able to tap into that energy and find out like what is holding you back, what is causing some issues, what are your limiting beliefs. And that, when you're looking at this program, you really can see how quickly that can move you. If something is, let's just say food wise, you were told way back in the day in your childhood that, you have to finish your plate, and you weren't eating great food, or, it wasn't organic whole foods or anything like that. And you just had to keep eating and eating, and you watched your parents eat and whatever. And pretty soon everybody in the families gained weight just from the toxins and everything we put in our body. And if you can get that limiting belief taken out of the subconscious, then you start to have a whole new outlook on your life. That's just one example. There can be so many different stresses that's going on. And this is what I really helped with my athletes. And they just saw a tremendous result just in their schooling, in their playing basketball, their friends, getting along better, being more coachable, things like that, that Elliot I had talked about. Then I got involved with a couple different businesses. I was working some network marketing stuff. And as people found out what I did with the subconscious mind, I just got bombarded with clients. And because they were trying to either build a business or trying to get their health better, whatever, and they had so many things holding them back that they wanted to find answers because they wanted something new. And so there was a time, probably 7, 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, I was working with 60 to 80 people one-on-ones a week. And it was very overwhelming, let me tell you. So this whole program is set up kind of way differently, so we can work in some group things and do some different things. But so I've worked with over 1,000 clients in my career of 20 years of working with the subconscious mind. And it just really, what I kind of emphasize is looking at the childhood trauma, looking at other traumas. It could be anything from relationships, bad relationships, low self-esteem things, looking at your own personal power and maybe never having it, and then money problems, money issues, and health and body are another big thing that we really look into. And so when you get all that going and these things are holding you back, but they're in your programming there, and you might not even realize what they're doing to you, then that's where we can really tap into this and really start to understand why you are the way you are and how you can change these things moving forward very quickly. And then with this program that is incredible, it's just really such a unique fit, where Ellie and I have come together to work that with people. So it's just something that you could really kind of take a hold of and really start to understand what's happening with you. So that's just kind of what I do, really working in the stress area and all the stresses. And Ellie kind of touched on that, the fight or flight and everything in the program. So that will just be actually looked at really, really better, and we can really get to it a lot quicker now. And so what I'm offering is, so you can get an idea of what I do and what I've worked with clients for. If you get on that discovery call with Ellie and kind of really figure out what's best for you, I will give you like a 30 to 45-minute call. And so you can ask me some questions. We can go through some things. You can get some things actually balanced and checked, so you can kind of see where everything's at. And then you can really tell where this program can help you as you go through. Because if you're up in the upper part of this program and you buy the bigger package, then you do get some individual coaching. And so that will also include myself and getting these things that a lot of my clients have gone through in my past. So it just really is a huge benefit to put together with this. So I would just encourage you to get signed up for the discovery call, at least get an idea what you can do. And then I'll also throw in a 30-40-minute call that we can sit down and kind of talk about some stuff, and we'll schedule that out after your discovery call. So anyway, that's all I got to share, Ellie, unless you have any other questions or comments. So
I think that's all I have as well. Gina, do you have any questions by chance?
she might have to be unmuted.
If you don't want to say them on there, you can also, okay, you don't. I was gonna say you could just drop it in the chat too. So awesome. Well, that's all I have. So I am gonna end with this, that the doctor of the future is you. I think it's a really important philosophy to reiterate to people that they are capable of this, that you're capable of learning how to promote your health and learn the skills that you need to be healthy. And then it's really not that intimidating or overwhelming, but you do need a guide and someone to help you. So I just want to give you an opportunity, if you want to click on those links, like the detox guide and the discovery call link and the workbook, Gina. Once I end the Zoom, those will disappear. So I just didn't want to do that too soon. If you needed to grab those yet, or if you're good, I will get off here in about 30 seconds. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and we'll see you later, okay?